Hey everybody, welcome back. This is our 2012 Ram 1500 Bighorn Hemi, and today we're going to talk about our ownership experience. So we bought this truck about 10 years ago. It was about a year old at the time, had about 12,000 miles on it, and we got a killer deal on it. The dealer accidentally marked it for basically the price they had in it versus what they should have sold it for. So it was about $7,000 below market. We pretty much went to go look at it with a printout of their ad from online. They tried to mark the price of it up. We showed them, we had the printout with the price on it. They went in their system and figured out they listed the price wrong. So nevertheless, they ended up doing the deal on it. We bought it, and we've had it ever since. So this particular truck, we bought it with 11,000 miles. It currently has about 332,000. It's been a great truck. Pretty much zero complaints. We have had a couple little minor issues over the years. I say minor as, I'm a mechanic. I do my own work on it. So other people, if they aren't mechanically inclined, they would probably have a bigger issue than I would. For starters, everything was about fine until about 220,000 miles. That's when we first started seeing some issues out of it. It is the 5.7 Hemi, two-wheel drive. So when we hit about 230,000 miles, the transmission started slipping. So we ended up having the transmission rebuilt, and that was about $3,000 or so. And when we got the truck back from the shop, we noticed there was still kind of an issue with it. And ultimately, I ended up tearing down the motor a little bit, and it was the well-known cam and lifter failure because of the MDS, the cylinder deactivation in this truck. So, it was still running fairly decent at the time, but it just wasn't perfect. You could tell the gas mileage was kind of dropping, and it had more of a tick to it than usual. So with this truck, I ended up tearing the motor apart. I did a cam, the MDS delete, just like you usually see. A lot of people talk about it in the forums, the truck clubs, things like that. These modern Hemis are known for that MDS failure. It happens eventually. It's just a matter of when. But, again, if you're mechanically inclined, it's easy to deal with. Not that big of a thing. So we have about 100,000 miles on this truck since the motor was rebuilt in it. The transmission was rebuilt. It still pretty much runs like new. This is kind of more of an upgraded one. We do have the console shifter in it. It's pretty much been our workhorse for the last decade or so. 300,000 miles, 330 actually. The seat's kind of starting to tear. That happened last year. I just kind of stitched it closed for now. I have new seat foams for it. I'm probably going to end up redoing the interior in this, just because even with the mileage on it, I don't plan on getting rid of the truck anytime soon. It's been a great truck, so we might end up redoing some of the interior in here. Maybe doing away with some of the tan and do it more of like a navy black two-tone. But overall, it's been a great truck. No real complaints with it. And it is the crew cab as well, so we do have the bigger cab on it. But as you can see, we keep our seats kind of leaned back. My wife naps over there in the passenger seat when we're on road trips. And, our daughter has plenty of room back here for her legs. You can see there's quite a bit of room between her car seat and the center console. So, there's plenty of room in here. Full-size adults can be completely comfortable back here in the back seat. And there's plenty of storage everywhere. You know, you can lift up the seat. There's another compartment down here, as well as one under the floor mat. More storage down here in the floor. Our jump packs down there for if you have a dead battery. You know, it's a great truck. I actually have pretty much zero complaints about this thing. That's why, even with the mileage on it, I really would struggle getting rid of this thing. You know, we do have newer trucks, but this actually pretty much sold us when we went out and bought our 5th gen. You know, the mileage was getting up there. We figured it was probably about time for a new truck. We weren't sure how much longer this one was going to last. We ended up buying our 5th gen in 2019, you know, pre-pandemic, all that stuff, the crazy prices. So we got a pretty decent price on that one as well. But this one, you know, after the motor was rebuilt, we really didn't have any issues with it at all. You know, it's a comfortable truck to drive. When I go to redo the interior, I'm probably going to go ahead and add some heated seats as well, just to kind of give a few more comforts in here. But as you can see, I'm not even joking. We do have 332,000 miles on this truck, and it's handled it like a champ. So originally, this truck was not two-toned. It was kind of more of a basic, just this dark blue with chrome bumpers. I ended up adding the two-tone, our Ram 2500 front bumper, which actually worked pretty well with our original 2012 grille. Granted, this is an upgraded one to have kind of the newer Ram emblem in it. We're going to be changing up the grille as well as the headlights. We'll probably be putting a slight lift on this here soon as well, just to kind of level it out even with the back end. But about a year ago, this truck was rear-ended. You know, it wasn't too bad. It just kind of caught, you know, the edge of the bumper back here and a little bit of the tailgate. And that was really about it. So we repaired this corner. We ended up going painted bumpers, doing the silver two-tone on it while we were doing paint work, just to kind of dress the truck up a little bit. But I mean, as you can see, you know, it's very hard to tell it was wrecked at any sort of point, but you can't beat the truck for the money. And under here we do have our Hemi. You can see it's pretty well clean, well, dirty but unmodified really. You can see it's pretty original for the most part. We do live, you know, farm areas, so it kicks up dirt quite often. This thing hasn't been detailed in a while. One thing we did do was the V6 fan conversion to do away with the clutch fan because we were having clutch fan failure. So I ended up bumping down the thermostat to like a 180 degree. We went to our V6 fan conversion. If you don't know about that yet, the same year, like 2011, 2012, Ram V6s have a much bigger electric fan. It plugs directly into the same plug without having to modify it. You know, it just slides right in. You really don't have to do anything except pull your old fan shroud out, the fan clutch, and swap them out. Plug the new one in and you're done. So I definitely recommend this upgrade. It makes the truck run a whole lot cooler. It seems like it's a whole lot happier in general just doing it this way. But that's really it for under here. You know, we might do some modification to this in the near future now that we have a few other cars to drive. This has pretty much been our daily driver for a while, you know, no issues. It's hard to do things on it because somebody's always driving it. So it's not usually sitting for any period of time at all. But who knows exactly what the future has in store for it. But probably in the next few months, I will be upgrading a few things, you know, the headlights, the grill, doing a leveling lift on it. I'll probably end up taking the steps off, you know, just change it up a little bit. I need to PDR this dent right here. So I'll probably make a video on that, doing the PDR on it. As well as, what else do we need to do? Actually, we'll probably end up doing a video doing the valve covers, spark plugs, that sort of thing. So be sure to stay tuned for that if you're interested in that sort of thing and have one of these trucks. So if you've seen some of my videos already, you probably know, you know, we have experience with a few different cars. You know, we have a Duramax back there. We've had, you know, Range Rovers, Mercedes, Corvettes, pretty much every Mopar, you know, Hellcats. So when I kind of go back and say, you know, this is probably one of my favorite vehicles to drive. You know, it doesn't have, you know, the crazy comforts like, you know, the Range Rover, but it gets the job done and it does it extremely reliable. And it's hard to argue with that. You know, what more do you want in something? So if you're looking at one of these trucks, you know, especially if it has a 5.7 Hemi in it, I highly recommend it all day long. Great trucks. I haven't really had any, you know, big issues that I'd say. You know, we did the engine transmission, but with the mileage, you can kind of expect that. And especially if you're down here in Florida, we do have Florida Ram Truck Club. It's a truck group, kind of truck community based around the Dodge Rams. Every generation, you know, whatever engine you have. It's kind of like forums for the Dodge trucks. You know, everybody kind of gets along. We do truck meets, things like that. And, you know, everybody's pretty helpful. So be sure to check, you know, things like that out. If you want one of these trucks, I highly recommend, you know, there is a little following behind them as far as the truck owners. So with all that being said, you know, the Ram ownership experience for me has been great. I originally had a 3rd gen Ram quad cab Hemi, and then I ended up going to this, which, you know, comes in handy when you have kids. You know, it has a bigger back seat, a little more room inside. So, you know, there was benefits to going to the 4th gen over the 3rd gen, mostly just cab size, really. This does get a lot better gas mileage as well, even though it's also a 5.7 Hemi. So if you're looking at one, definitely recommend it. It's worth the money. As long as you find one that's, you know, been taken care of, serviced, that sort of thing. You know, you want to spend the money and find kind of a nicer one, in my opinion, because those tend to work out better. But that's all for today's video. And be sure to check out what we got going on next. Our next video should probably be doing our spark plugs and valve cover gaskets on this truck. More of a how-to video.